All righty, welcome back everyone to the Zach and Bo show. We're coming back, trying to come back strong. We missed last week. We both had pretty busy schedules, so that's one thing is trying to be more consistent and find time. But we are back and going to be better than ever.
Of course. So yeah, we're gonna start here by just quick. We did our picks for week one. I went 10-6, and then Bo went 9-7. And then we did our own picks in week two. We weren't able to record them. And I went 12-4, and Bo went 10-6 to a total of I'm 22-10, and Bo is 19-13. So pretty hyped to be winning. I believe I won last year too, so no big deal or nothing. I think I won 2 years back, so I'm going for the triple crown here.
That's right. I would say so far has not started off too hot for me. Had a couple surprise losses this week. So kind of recapping this last week. I mean, Chiefs and Packers, those are our teams, and they kind of, did a little bit of a flip over the last week. Packers had a rough week one, Chiefs looked good. Then the Chiefs, had a pretty bad loss week two, and Packers dominated. So
I mean, the Chiefs lost. They
good and bad things.
Chiefs didn't get murdered, but hey. But no,
for sure. No, I mean,
that was a really good game though.
Still
It
not
was fun to
fun.
watch. It sucked to see. I don't really care for the Ravens, so I was pulling for them. But it sucked to see. So, but it was a really good game.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping to see them bounce back. You definitely got to fix their defense. They're having some problems there, but
yeah, I don't know.
I think both teams will end up fine.
Yeah, I mean, the first half of the Packers game was rough. I mean, the offense played good, but the defense, after a week and a half, finally seemed to get some sort of rhythm going in that second half. So that was pretty exciting. And they didn't even have Zadarius Smith. So the Lions obviously aren't great, but Jared Goff's playing pretty good. They held him to 0 points in the second half. So, is it amazing? No. Will I take it? Absolutely, especially after week one. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see that. It's like, the whole offseason shenanigans. It was like a week and a half hangover from all of that. So I'm glad they picked it up in the second half and finally they got the win. I am a little nervous about San Francisco this week. Although I will say I don't think they're 2-0, but they haven't looked as impressive as I've thought they would. So I think the Packers got a shot. I am still pretty nervous about it though, because they are still a really good team.
Yeah. I think overall, I think the Packers have a better team, and I just think they have more like a higher potential as far as putting up points on the board. Especially with all the injuries San Francisco has had in the backfield. I mean, they're already, having problems with that. But yeah, I think the Packers are going to be just fine.
I think they will, but I mean, my only problem is they have a tough schedule coming on. I think they play the Steelers week 4. So when Steelers actually the Steelers don't look very good, so I'm not too worried about that one. But I don't want them to get themselves into a wall. I mean, I still believe, but I don't want to get themselves in like a 1-3 hole and have to dig their way out of it. I mean, I'm hoping, for success this week and next week. And like I said, I just want to see more of what I saw in that second half. So they gave me some hope.
Oh yeah,
I know it was the Lions, and I shouldn't get too excited about them beating the Lions, but damn, I was excited, especially after week one.
I would say it was nice to kind of see them back in their form. I think week one was just kind of a blunder, and I like I said, they have a tough schedule ahead, but they should be able to pull together just fine. Like you had mentioned, Pittsburgh. That's a team that I feel like they're hard to predict because they still have talent, even if they have injuries and a really young offensive line, they still have talent. So it's hard to say exactly what Steelers team you're going to play that week. But I mean, going with that, they've just lost to the Raiders, and the Raiders are 2-0 right now, and actually looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed. Excuse me. I'm impressed with the Raiders. I mean, I still wouldn't put them, even though they're 2-0, in the upper tier teams in the NFL. But they are good. They
Yeah.
look like a playoff team right now, but it is early. I don't think they will. I mean, at most they'll split with Kansas City, but they'll probably lose still both their games to KC. I think, you know, I think that Ravens Chiefs games was a bit of a fluke. I mean, it was 1 point, and Harbaugh had that crazy call, that or really gutsy call at the end. So that that stuff happens. It was 1 point. It was a total fluke. So Kansas City is still, in my opinion, the best team in the AFC and probably the NFL, besides maybe the Bucks. So I wouldn't worry about that one too much.
Yeah, it's tough because they need to fix their defense. That's going to be a
Yeah,
serious problem with like facing teams that rush heavy. Um, but realistically, I think which I'm surprised Andy Reid went with the run there to just run out the clock, because
yeah,
usually he just puts the ball in Mahomes' hands and says,
yeah,
like, hey, you win the game for us.
yeah,
Like, I'm going to trust you and our playmakers. So seeing him go conservative
yeah,
was pretty surprising. I think if they just let Mahomes, because in 3 plays they were already in field goal range.
yeah,
So I think if you let Mahomes control that drive, I,
yeah,
I think it goes different. But it's week 2. Things happen. You're bound to
yeah,
you're bound to lose games. It's a 17 game schedule, so you
yeah,
you know week 2 loss, you should still be fine.
yeah. No, I mean, no one. You can't. No, no one's. Excuse me. No one's gonna go undefeated. You win some, you lose some. So who has surprised you so far this season the most, even in a positive or negative way?
So I have one positive and one negative. And
Okay.
so the team that has positively surprised me is Carolina. I
Yeah.
think they've shown some actual like really good stuff. Now I don't know if New Orleans is gonna remain a good team. I don't know if this was a fluke loss or whatever, but Carolina dominated the Saints
Okay.
and their defense has realistically looked really good.
I mean, I'd bet a good amount of money on
So
them.
that
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I'd bet a good amount of money on them
no,
moving to
you go
three
ahead.
and 3-0 this tonight. I mean, they play the Texans, and Texans haven't looked terrible. I mean, not as bad as everyone thought, but I still think they'll handle the Texans. So I agree. They're looking pretty good. Mhm.
Yeah. And so for a negative surprise, I know they got the win this last week, but I don't think Tennessee has quite looked like the team that we were expecting.
Yeah.
Week 1, the Cardinals thrashed them, and then week 2, I mean, they have AJ Brown and Julio Jones, and it just kind of seemed like they weren't
Yeah.
utilizing them as much. And then up until kind of later in the game, Derrick Henry before halftime wasn't like killing it. He wasn't
Yeah.
crazy. So I've just been kind of surprised. And I mean, Seattle, they might be a decent team, but it's still early.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been pretty surprised at Tennessee not really clicking that well.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, they got it together in that second half, and I'm glad they beat Seattle because man, I hate Seattle. But yeah, they haven't looked great. Yeah, excuse me, got a little cough. But as for positive surprise, I'd say maybe the Cardinals. I mean, I knew they were good, but just how dynamic Kyle Murray has made them. I mean, you've seen this the last couple of years, but these last couple of games, even though it's close to Minnesota, they've just been crazy. So I wonder if they'll keep on the role that they've been having. And so for positive, negative, I mean, the Colts haven't looked great, but they have had a tough schedule so far. And I mean, they're losing. Well, Carson Wentz gets hurt every year, but they're losing him. Um, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know. I knew the Jaguars were going to be bad, and I shouldn't expect Trevor Lawrence to turn them around from week 1, but I was hoping to like at least see them be competitive, and it just hasn't been the case.
Yeah. I'm, kind of like you said, I wasn't expecting the Jaguars to just completely turn it around and be a, top 5, top 10 team. But I mean, I'm still really surprised at just how I don't know. Trevor Lawrence just has not looked good. Like
Yeah.
he's had a couple moments where I'm like, okay, it's not too bad, but man, there has been some times that he has made some truly terrible plays that like doesn't seem like, even though he's a rookie, if he's this generational talent that people are saying,
Yeah.
I was really surprised. It's still so young in his
So
career,
early. Yeah.
and I think exactly, and I think Urban Myers is having, I think he has problems coaching.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm
Yeah.
not going to count him out yet, but I am kind of sad that he's came out like this.
I don't know if I mean it's 2 weeks, so I don't want to say I don't know if Urban Meyer's the right coach, but I saw that video of him saying it's like the NFL is like playing Alabama every week, and it's kind of like, well, what did you expect? I mean, you knew
Yeah,
this going in, right? Like you knew how elevated the competition is. So I I,
exactly.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he might be one of those that great college. I mean, now hopefully I'm wrong because I don't have a problem with the Jaguars. Maybe they'll turn around and be great, but some college coaches that just don't translate to the NFL. It happens sometimes. It's
Yeah,
too
I
early, so
mean,
he might.
it's such a transition from
Yeah.
league to, from the collegiate level to the NFL. But I mean, you even see it within the NFL when amazing coordinators, offensively or defensively, try to make
Mhm.
the transition to head coach and then
Oh yeah.
just do terrible. I
Yeah.
mean, Romeo Cornell is one of the best defensive coordinators.
Of
Once
all
he took
time.
over KC, he was terrible.
Yeah.
Or, Todd Bowles was a really bad head coach, and now he has
Yeah.
the Buccaneers defense like all together. So
Yeah.
it's really it's weird.
I mean, some people are just good in their specific role, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's almost like in the NFL, if someone's a really good coordinator, they expect them. You're just the head coach the next year. That's how it works. But maybe that's not always the case for some people. Maybe some people are just comfortable in their roles.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
so are you looking forward to the game tonight? We got Carolina and Houston.
Yeah, I like you've mentioned, I think Houston looks quite a bit better than what
Yeah,
we expected coming into the season. I was expecting them to just get thrashed every game. But with Tyrod Taylor out, I just
yeah,
I don't see there's any way that they put up a realistically good game tonight. I think Carolina should win by 10 or more points. I would I'm predicting Carolina to beat them pretty handily.
yeah. I'd say so. I think I didn't even know who the guy was. Davis Mills, who they're starting at QB tonight, and maybe
Yeah.
he'll be great because every now and then you see these, especially for one game. Like I remember who like the last one I saw was like Nick Mullins or San Francisco. Dude was like a third string, randomly comes in and throws like
Yeah.
3 touchdowns and does amazing, and then it doesn't always work out. But sometimes prime time, your first opportunity, sometimes they do well. So he might do okay. But yeah, quarterback from Stanford, no idea who he was until today. So
Yeah, he was their third round pick this year.
yeah, so maybe he'll do all
So
right.
let's see how he
Um,
does.
yeah, and then, but yeah, I think the Panthers are just like too solid. I mean, yeah, Chris McCaffrey, Darnold's look really good. I mean, it's just I think that what they're going to start doing is the Jets will get the like a top quarterback every year or two. They'll mess them up and they'll realize, oh, they're actually pretty good. So then they'll take them somewhere else.
About right.
Yeah. Speaking of the Jets, how about that Zach Wilson performance? That was tough to watch.
Yeah, man, it's so weird because like he's another player that like should have a really high ceiling that has
Yeah.
just had moments of looking just terrible.
Yeah.
I like you said, it's still so early in their career. You can't just call it off 2 games. But starting off right now, he's had some really bad problems.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not fair to say it, but the only rookie that's looked in the pretty good is Mac Jones, but he's obviously got the best situation by far. So it's not even really fair. I mean,
Yeah, for
he just
sure.
got thrown right into the Patriots. I mean, that's not fair. I mean, that dude lucked out. I mean, but I'm so sorry about the cough and everything. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for tonight. I haven't really got to watch the Panthers play much because they haven't been on where I'm at. So, or watch other games. So I'm pretty excited to watch this game tonight. So, want to get
Sure.
into our week 3 picks.
Yeah, that works. It sounded like we both went with Carolina.
Carolina, and then I'll go ahead and so I'll go over mine. So I went with Carolina, Buffalo over Washington, Cleveland over Chicago, Baltimore over Detroit, Tennessee over Indiana. I was kind of iffy on that one. The Carson Wentz is going to be out. Kansas City over the Chargers, New England over New Orleans, New York Giants over Atlanta, Pittsburgh over Cincinnati. Although I hope Cincinnati pulls that one out. Arizona over Jacksonville, Denver over the Jets, Las Vegas over Miami, the Rams. I actually picked the Rams over Tampa Bay. I got a feeling about this one. That might be a hot take, but I think the Rams are going to do that one. That's good. That's a good game. I'm real excited for that one. Then I put Seattle
Oh,
over
yeah.
Minnesota, and then the Packers over San Francisco, and then on Monday night I picked Dallas over Philadelphia.
We had quite a few similarities this week. I went Carolina over Houston, Buffalo over Washington, Cleveland over Chicago. Although Justin Fields is starting, and I would like to see him have a good game, maybe get a win. But I'm going Cleveland. But there's also a chance Baker Mayfield might be out. I guess he's hurt decently bad, so I
Yikes!
guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Then we got Baltimore. I think Baltimore definitely beats Detroit. Tennessee, Indianapolis, like you said, Wentz playing changes it a little, but I don't know if he is. I think Tennessee, Kansas City over the Chargers. Chargers are a good team though. Patriots over the Saints. I think that'll be a really interesting game to watch because I think that'll show kind of where Jameis is at. Jameis had a really good week 1 and then looked really bad last week. So
I mean, that's
we'll
kind of
see
his whole
kind of
career,
where he's
just
at.
back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually went Atlanta over the Giants. I think they have. I don't know. I think they'll have a surprise game this week. They had some moments where they didn't look terrible last week against the Buccaneers, and then and towards the end of the game they kind of fell apart. Pittsburgh over Cincinnati, which is also in question because Ben Roethlisberger's questionable and Deontay Johnson's out. Arizona over Jacksonville. I think that'll be a blowout. Denver over New York Jets. Raiders over Miami. I went with the Rams as well over the Buccaneers. I'd like to see that. That'd be awesome to see them kind of, I think it's going to be a great game either way. Seattle over Minnesota, Green Bay over San Francisco, and then Dallas over Philadelphia.
Okay. So, I debated. So in fantasy, I have Dak and Josh Allen. So I'm debating if I should start Dak because he's playing Philadelphia, and they don't. I mean, their defense looks okay, but Josh Allen, he hasn't been as good as I thought he would have this year. So I don't know what I'm going to do on that one, but so we'll see.
Yeah, he's had some problems, but I feel like it's still kind of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He he should have a good week. I mean, Daniel Jones against the Redskins or the Washington football team
He did pretty good.
put up 32 points. So I would think Josh Allen would do okay.
Yeah,
And then, Dak Prescott, I think.
Washington's my defense, and I got.
What was that?
Well, maybe I should play Dak because Washington's my defense, and I got. No, look at that. I'll probably play Dak then.
My only concern is, Dak only put up 7.5 points against the Chargers. So
That's
I don't
true.
know.
But yeah, I got.
But they both should be okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can change it at this point, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we got. So yeah, what game are you most anticipating this week? Besides the Kansas City.
I'd say other than the Chiefs game. So I won't say Rams and Buccaneers because I feel like that's also a pretty that's going to be a great game. I'm really interested to see the Saints Patriots game.
Yeah, that'll be
Um,
interesting.
because I think the Saints, like, they still have a good defense when they're clicking. I think that would be a good test for Mac Jones. And then also it's going to be a good test for Jameis to see, like,
Is he
is
good or
he
not?
going to rebound? Does he have more consistency with Sean Payton? Do they kind of figure it out? Or, is he just
Yeah.
going to fall back into the same routine?
I kind of hope they. Well, either way, it is what it is. I mean, yeah, we got. Excuse me. We got the Packers and the 49ers. Obviously, that's because Packer fan. But I'm pretty excited for Buffalo and Washington. I think it'll be a cool one. Cleveland and Chicago. I mean, it'll be interesting. Justin Fields play. He's the last rookie to make their first start. Well, last big one to make their first start. So I'm very curious how he does and how that goes because Matt Nagy's kind of on the hot seat, so he needs this to work out. So we'll see how that works out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Philadelphia and Dallas might be an interesting one. But yeah, so that's probably it.
They always make a decent game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either team's that great, but they usually play for a good game, so it is what it is.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, so we got them. But yeah, it's gonna be a good week. I'm pretty excited. So we got a lot of good games coming up. You know, I hope my Packers can pull it off against San Francisco. I know your Chiefs will win against LA, but I think they'll keep it close because they always do, but they'll win.
I'm hoping so. The Chargers are a pretty good team,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
So I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a good game either way.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Herbert, he's still looking good, coming off the rookie year. So I'm excited for him, excited for that. That actually will be a good game. I'm pretty excited for that one. So, but yeah. So, is there anything else you got?
No, I mean I think that kind of covers the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or these yeah, the first 2 weeks we talked about recap that covers this week. So I'm excited to kind of see how this weekend plays out with some football. Hopefully I can kind of get back into, a decent record because right now I'm falling behind already. So
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You'll turn it around. Yeah. So, well, I haven't really seen any movies, although my wife and I we finished watching The Sopranos. I showed her that series. That was kind of, but other than that, movie wise, there hasn't really been much. I don't anticipating seeing anything new until Venom 2 comes out. I'm not seeing Dear Evan Hansen. That looks terrible. So I'll pass. So I'll see Venom 2 when that comes out, as well as the Mini Saints of Newark. So we'll both see. You're gonna see Venom 2, correct?
oh yeah.
That'll be a good one to talk. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Mini Saints of Newark. Very excited for that one. Other than that, that'll be it for me. It's been a great show. Great to have you.
Absolutely. We'll try to have another show and try to be a little more consistent with it this next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, this works pretty good. So thank you guys for watching the Zach and Bo show, our 4th episode. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, and let us know what you thought. See ya.